Welcome to the Impact of Educational Leadership podcast with ID3 for Isaiah Jerome III. This show was designed to provide an exclusive forum on educational achievement gaps related to learner success while discovering relationships and family issues in a diverse setting.
Welcome to another night, impactful night of educational leadership. This is episode 50. I'm your host, ID3 for Isaiah Jerome III. Tonight's panelists are Nina Taylor, Charles Big C. Caldwell, Pastor Dr. Michael A. Evans Sr., and the real deal, Holyfield. Gentlemen and lady, please say hello to the people.
Hello to everybody. Michael Evans.
Hello, everyone. Big C.
Hello, everyone. The real deal.
All right. Well, tonight's topic is very sensitive, is achieving mental wellness in the African American community. The U.S. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration reports an estimated 1 in 5 people are affected by mental health. In 2011, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reported 1 in 20 Americans lived with a serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depression. Mental health professionals reported that 8.6% of African Americans suffer from social anxiety disorders, 4.9% from generalized anxiety disorder, and 3.8% from panic disorder. According to the CDC, African Americans have the highest rate of carrying depression with 12.8%, followed by Hispanics 11.4% and whites 7.9%. More specifically, in African Americans, the most common types of mental illness disorders include major depression, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, suicide, post-traumatic stress disorder, that's PTSD. Tonight, we will have a powerful discussion to address achieving mental wellness in African American communities. My first guest is Pastor Dr. Michael A. Evans Sr. Sir, please say hello again to the people.
Hello to all the people out there, and greetings to you, and God's covering over each and every one of us.
Absolutely. Let me tell you a little bit about Reverend Dr. Michael A. Evans Sr. He is a proud pastor of the Bethlehem Baptist Church in Mansfield, Texas, where he and his wife, Mrs. Lisa C. Evans, and 2 children have served for more than 28 years. Pastor Evans received his Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science, pre-law, from the University of Texas at Arlington. He received his Master's of Divinity degree from Texas Christian University. He received his Doctor of Ministry degree from Baylor University Theological Seminary, Truett Theological Seminary. Pastor Evans has served as an administrator with the Tarrant County College District, which coordinates and oversees responsibilities for the district's ESL and Adult Basic Education Centers. He has also served as the City of Arlington's annual Martin Luther King Jr. speaker on 3 occasions, as a consultant on race relations for church, county, and state officials, and as a reserve chaplain in the United States Navy as a commissioned officer and community advocate, and as the founder of the following organizations: the BBC Educational Enrichment Corporation, the Hope House Community Service Network. He has led countless missions with other organizations to fulfill his civic duties. Pastor Evans is the author of Leadership in the Black Church, Guidance in the Midst of Changing Demographics. Pastor Evans, my question to you tonight: how do you ensure that you successfully carry out objectives and plans in your community and in your missions?
Thank you, my brother. That's a very fine question. I think that each and every one of us has a purpose. I believe that God has placed in our spirit a fire, a burning, a desire, an unction to do good. And with that internal unction, I believe that there is an assignment that is attached to that. And every individual has it, of course, if they would search it out or would allow themselves to hear God speak to them. An author, Simon Sinek, wrote a book entitled Determining Your Why. And when you determine your why, that's your purpose in life. So I am able to, by the grace of God, to know that as it concerns my particular assignment, my particular walk in life, that God has created me for a purpose. And with that in mind, it gives me a perspective, a positive perspective, an optimistic perspective in taking care, in helping people, in guiding them to a good place in their own life, their own being. So, and I believe that when you get to work that out, you understand what your purpose is, and when you have a positive perspective on life, then it draws you toward a particular outcome. You're targeting, you're shooting for something, and then you're able to kind of put together whatever your strategy is going to be for getting there. And I have had the opportunity to experience that in my 53 years of life, brother.
Absolutely. Pastor Evans, thank you for that powerful response. What I heard in your speaking was a call to action. And that lets me know that you have identified your assignment here on this planet that we call Earth, and that's your why, that's your purpose, that's your perspective, that's your lens, that's how you see things. You see a need, you see your assignment and how it aligns to the need, and then you get the work done. And if you don't have the resources on hand, then you know where to draw those resources from. So I love that response. And it leads me to my next question, which is for another panelist here, Charles Big C. Caldwell. Please say hello to the people again, sir.
Hello, everyone. Charles Big C. Caldwell.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me tell you a little bit about Charles Big C. Caldwell, motivational speaker. His website is www.adolescence2adult.com. Big C, also known as Charles Caldwell, is happily married to Robbie with one daughter who graduated from Prairie View A&M University. Big C is a retired Air Force Master Sergeant of more than 25 years. Prior to retirement, he served as Superintendent of 624th Air Defense Liaison Element in Yokota Air Base, Japan. Big C is a highly decorated airman. He received the combination medals and 5 operational Iraqi freedom medals and enduring freedom medals as well. He is the creator of Man Up University at Mansfield ISD. He is a University of Phoenix alumni. He's a member of the MISD Leadership Committee and Back to School Badge Committee. Even though Big C is wearing many hats, the ultimate goal is to give back to the community. He does it through entertainment, through informing, through persuading all adolescents to become successful adults. He's a coach. He's also great friends with the real deal, Evander Holyfield. And so my question to you, Big C, is what are some of the ways you can identify goals for achieving mental wellness? Also, tell us specifics, like what can you do to reach those goals as it relates to mental wellness?
Okay, I appreciate you having me, Isaiah. And I'd like to start off by, I'm going to name 6 ways, 6 goals for achieving wellness, and then I'm going to give you, the 6 ways of meeting those goals. The first one, when it comes to identifying a goal for achieving wellness, in my opinion, is identify. When you identify, you have to admit, you have to realize that you have a problem, and you name some of them specifically, and every one of us have a weakness. You can't choose stress. Stress happens every day, and you can't avoid it, but you can manage it. And as you labeled, 12.8% of blacks deal with depression and 11.4% Hispanics. So we lead the nation. I wonder why. Is it oppression? Good point. The second one is take small steps, okay? When you realize that you have a problem, you have to make it specific. You have to make sure it's realistic. And the way you do that is you hold yourself accountable. We all have weaknesses. And when you try to avoid those weaknesses, then you're thinking negative. You're not holding yourself accountable, okay? Number 3, you want to get support, i.e. treatment. counseling, etc. And let me share something personal with you guys. And I know the whole world is hearing it, but this is confident. My pastor and the real deal. Those are two people that I confide in when I'm struggling, when I'm going through trials and tribulations. Because we all have different walks in life, but iron sharpens iron. So there are times when I call Pastor E, they say, man, I need to talk. I call the real deal and say, Holy, how do I deal with this? And experience is the only situation where you get the test before the lesson. So if a person has been through that already, they can tell you how to deal with it. So that's what I do. I reach out and touch somebody. And I'm not ashamed. I ain't got to worry about it going nowhere. Let me put that part in there. Trustworthy. You have to confide in somebody that's trustworthy. Okay? Number 4, share your goals with others. I just did. I just shared with the whole world. When you're going through trials and tribulations, confide in somebody. You have to realize a person's history. Know their history. Know that if they're walking with God, I can guarantee you they have an answer for you. I can guarantee you that. And they might come from a different perspective of the way you've been seeing it, because a lot of times your perception can be off. If you're allowing your feelings to get involved, you're getting all wrapped up into it, wearing your feelings on your sleeve like I do sometimes, you don't take things the wrong way. So when you confide in somebody that ain't feeling that right there at the same time, they're going to give you the straight, honest truth. You might not like it, but the truth hurts. Number 5, stay positive. Stay positive. And the way you stay positive is you control your thoughts. Don't allow your mind to slip. And it do. When it does, when you realize you're thinking something negative, evil, whatever it is, you have to stop it right there on the spot. You control what you think. Don't allow your mind to wonder on something negative. If it was wondering, make sure it's something positive. Number 6, track yourself. How do I track myself? Try to make today better than yesterday. That's how I track myself. Wherever I slipped yesterday, made a mistake, allowed myself to get angry, thought something negative, no matter what it is, I critique myself. I said, tomorrow I want to be better. So when I wake up, I thank the good Lord for another day and try to make this day better than yesterday. Every day I do the same thing. Here is my suggestions on reaching your goals. Like I said, you can't avoid success, but you can manage it. Number 2, you want to take small steps. Make today better than yesterday, but don't look back. Number 3, confide in a trustworthy friend. Number 4, forgiveness. That I want to talk about a little bit, because when you hold something in, anger, pain, it don't matter what it is, when you hold it in, you're only hurting yourself. Because the person that offended you might not realize they offended you, number 1. Number 2, and if you keep holding that, you're only hurting yourself, because that person is moving on with their life. So you have to learn forgiveness. You have to practice it. You have to pray on it. And you have to keep using that every day. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself. Sometimes you have to laugh at your own mistakes. Number 5, ensure goals are measurable, attainable, and realistic. And the way that you ensure that your goals are measurable, attainable, and realistic is nobody know you better than you know yourself. So don't set yourself up for failure. Set goals that you know you can attain. Set goals that you know that are realistic to you. I'll be 60 in 2 weeks. Ain't no sense me talking about I'm going to play in the NBA, because I know I can't. But it's all good, though. Those are realistic goals. I know me better than anybody else. Number 6, timely or time limited. Set times or how long you going to try to reach that goal. Sometimes when you keep knocking at the door, if that door don't open, it's not meant for that door to open for you. So you got to say, okay, I'm going to try to be here in 6 months. I'm going to try to be here in 1 year. Whatever that time is, you set those goals and you reach for it. And there are times when you have to understand, okay, maybe that's not meant for me, that I'm going to move on to something else. And that's my word right there. That's my word.
And it's a powerful word. When you speak, Big C, I always hear your heart. You always deliver your heart when you speak. You talked about several things. I'm not going to go through everything that you went through, but it's tied to accountability. And when you are accountable, like you said, it gives you a better perspective, and really it's helping you develop communication skills. It's helping you establish and maintain healthy relationships. You got healthy relationships with your pastor and the real deal, and this helps you develop a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, or I can't do it. And it's just like, not yet. I'm knocking at the door, it won't open yet, but eventually it will. And this helps you develop self-determination. We got some real panelists on this this talk show this evening that knows all about self-determination, about building on strengths, about turning challenges into opportunities. I mean, come on, I can't wait. I just can't wait. You got me motivated. Thank you so much, Big C, for that response. And Pastor Evans, thank you again, sir, for setting it off like this, because you helped set this conversation off. With that being said, our next panelist is the lovely Nina Taylor. How you doing this evening?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, sir?
We are so glad to have you here. Let me tell you a little bit about Miss Nina Taylor. Nina has a Bachelor's of Science in both broadcast journalism and psychology. During her 30 years of radio, Nina became the station promoter and brought many outstanding national gospel artists to the great state of Ohio while promoting the radio station. Nina has an international news segment entitled The Gospel News that airs on over 400 stations in the U.S., Canada, United Kingdom, and Africa. Nina can be heard nationally on her show, The Gospel Express, daily on Praise Radio. And that's 1580thepraise.com at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. KRGN. mykrgn.com, K-Way Gospel, Hip Hop Nation Radio, Love Radio Network, Spirit Soul Radio, Nia Radio Network, DWGN, and many, many others. She is a part of a Saturday afternoon lineup with Kanona Allman with their show, The Blazing Hot Praise, a top 40 countdown radio station, the summer morning lineup on KROV, and like I said, a host of others. And with that being said, the lovely Nina Taylor, my question for you this evening is, and I want everyone to ponder on this question, have you ever been afraid of something? But Nina, what are some of your fears as a woman, as an African-American woman, as it relates to mental health or with mental health?
Well, it's amazing how so many times that I've been on this show that you're hitting on things that actually affect me in my life personally. Many years ago, and anyone who follows me on any of my social media knows that I lost a daughter many years ago, and every year in May, because her birthday is in May, I do post up, I have a picture of an African-American angel baby which someone gave me that just gave me a lot of joy because it looks like me. But during that experience, after that experience, I went through a very ugly divorce, and the judge actually made me go to grief counseling because he was saying, I can see that you're still in a lot of pain and all that's going on. And I was ordered into grief counseling. Had it not been for that, I wouldn't have even went. And just by coincidence, the psychologist that I met with was an African-American female, just like myself. She was 2 years older than me, and she was very new. Her practice was very, very new, and she was saying that you're like the first woman to walk in this office that looks like me. And it's and I said, and I was ordered here by a judge. How about that? So I do believe in getting help wherever it's needed. If you're having pain somewhere, get help. If you're having pain in your mind or in your heart, get some help. We're the last ones that will seek help for anything. Why? One of the main reasons is because nobody wants anybody pointing a finger at them and saying, you're crazy. Nobody wants the stigma of that on them. If there is something wrong, I know someone right now who was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he said, wow, if my job finds out, they're going to fire me. They probably will, because nobody wants anybody who's crazy, and I'm using the word crazy loosely because that's what they'll say. They're going to say, oh, he has mental health issues. They'll say, you're crazy. We don't want you here. So nobody wants that stigma on them. We're the last ones to seek help for anything. Why? Because, number one, and it does cost. It costs. And a lot of people don't know that maybe your health insurance may even cover it. I didn't know that my health insurance covered anything like that, but a lot of the plans do cover that, probably because nobody ever uses it. And historically, African Americans, when has anyone tried to help us with our mental and emotional health? Not ever. So this is something that we fear historical bias and racism when it comes to most things in our lives. You know, we're the last ones to get help for something like that. We're the last ones to be able to pay for it. You know, a lot of people with mental illness are very low income. You know, are you going to buy food? Or are you going to go see a counselor? You know, but there's resources that you can seek out. There's lots of free resources that you can get in your community if you need that kind of help, which I found out now. The reason why I majored in psychology in college, you know, and of course, remember, I went back after many years, is because I wanted to help out at my church with the counseling. The person who was supposedly helping me was not qualified. You know, we don't have any qualified people in churches doing things. We have people in churches doing things who just want to do it. They have barely any education to do anything. A lot of them just doing it because nobody else will do it. So I wanted to help out with the counseling and with talking to people and helping on that end, because I know when I was going through something, I looked to my church for help and it wasn't any real help. I ended up having to be ordered into counseling and then was able to get real help. But that's mainly why I did it. But those are the reasons why we don't do it. We can't afford it. We don't want anybody pointing a finger at us. And we don't trust anybody like that. And we need more people in the African American community becoming counselors. We're underrepresented in that area as well. We need more women, more African American males who feel more comfortable talking to somebody who looks like us. And that's why we don't seek the help.
That was the lovely Nina Taylor. As always, you bring so much to this podcast, and we appreciate you for that. You know, I heard a lot about recovery and what you said, and I also felt the rebound not only in your life, but in so many other strong women's lives and strong men's lives as well. And it reminded me of a diamond. You know, a diamond, you know, it goes through a lot of cuts. It goes through a lot of cuts, but it's resilient if you think about it, because it gets cut, but then it comes back for the next cut, and it comes back for the next cut. And I know your life has had those types of rebounds where you've gotten hurt, but you bounce back. You got hurt, you bounce back. You got hurt and bounce back. But when it was time, when it was ready, when you were ready, and when that light hit you, bling, you started to shine like you shining tonight. And not only did you shine in your neighborhood, but you shine throughout the world. Because like I mentioned in your bio, you have people listening to you on over 400 radio stations, and I'm pretty sure you're going to go syndicate probably sometime before the end of the year. So, you know, these are the resilient people we need to hear from in the field of the professional field, the field of education, the field of mentoring, and you know, while I'm talking about this, and you mentioned church, and since we have a pastor on the podcast with us this evening, Dr. Pastor Michael Evans, let me ask you a question. Why is having good communication skills so crucial as a male minority leader?
Well, you know, thank you for asking me that question. It's very crucial because we as African Americans, we are, in many cases, we are passionate. I've had the opportunity to be on the continent about 4 times, 3-4 times, and when I watch my people, my native African people talk, they talk with much passion, and we do as well. And I know that in the calling that I have, but also as a public servant, I'm on a couple of boards here in our area. You know, when we talk, you know, with the fire and vigor behind our speech, you know, they want to label me as an angry brother. You know, and I have to say to them, I said, no, I'm as passionate as the white guy. You know, when he speaks like this, you call him passionate, but you call me angry. And you know, it's important that we are able to communicate, because we have to get our point across. You know, we have to be able to articulate our strategy for moving forward. We have to be able to articulate and be able to lay it out in such a way where people really understand where we're attempting to go, you know, in regard to plans for our lives. I really appreciate it, Isaiah, if you don't mind, if I can just kind of lean back into what my sister Taylor said regarding mental illness. My sister is so right about the stigma that we run into in the African American community. Big C can tell you, annually we have what we call our whole health fair. And when we say whole health, we're talking about mental health as well as diabetes and prostate cancer and all of that. Because what people fail to understand is that when you're talking about mental health, and my sister said it right, people want to label you as crazy, but no, it's not crazy. Mental health issues are physiological issues. I mean, it is a physical problem, and these are things that we need to get help for. And one of the things that we did in our local area, speaking of communication, is when the Lord blessed me to serve on the Blue Ribbon panel for our county, one of the things that we discovered in regard to mental health is the fact that the county jail and the state penitentiary have more people who are incarcerated because they have mental health problems as are hospitalized. So in order for us to really help our particular health network to build more mental health space and mental health hospitals, brother, we have to articulate that and our plans and demonstrate through the data why it was important to look at the whole health and well-being of people, persons, individuals. Well, if you aren't able to communicate that, if you aren't able to lay out the facts, if you aren't able to lovingly influence and convince people that this is a matter that has to be given top priority, then you won't get anything done. And also, I've learned that it's important for us to master the English language. You know, profanity is one thing, but you have to be able to utilize other terms in a diplomatic manner. So, thank you for that question. And Sister Taylor, thank you so much for highlighting the mental health piece. And Isaiah, God bless you, because that is so very important in the black community. We need to stop calling people crazy, and we need to understand that, our folks deal with post-traumatic stress, all kind of things, based upon the oppression that we've had to undergo and are undergoing right now. And my prayer is that we can use the pen as well as our lips and our tongue to communicate and to write policy and to change these laws so that we can have the equity and equality that we need. So thank you, brother, for asking me that question. I'm done.
Wow, I'm speechless. What can you say after that? What can you say after
Amen.
that?
To God be the glory.
Amen. And to God be that's it. Amen. Wow. Let me try to get this thing back. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody feeling? We as Americans, we are seeing a lot of changes going right before our eyes, and we're witnessing history. And we're gonna need some fighters. We're gonna need some fighters in the ring and outside the ring, not just for us, but for our children, for the future generation. And we're gonna need to be that voice. Okay, we're gonna need to be that voice that they can go and listen to and hear and get guidance and get some kind of direction. Because let's face it, they're scared. They're scared. A kid, I don't know how old he was, but this kid wrote a song. His mom wrote the song, I believe. Anyway, it went viral. And he said, I just want to live. And then he's crying out to God, God, please help me. I just want to live. He said, I just want to breathe.
Yeah.
You created me to breathe. I just want to do what you designed me to do. And so tonight we got a panelist here that's going to give us some tools to breathe. With that being said, we have the real deal, Evander Holyfield. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Bless you, sir. So pleased to have you here. Let me tell you a little bit about Evander Holyfield. The real deal Holyfield is an American professional boxer who competed from 1984 to 2011. He resigned as the undisputed champion at cruiserweight in the late 1980s and at heavyweight in the early 1990s, and remains the only boxer in history to win the undisputed championship in 2 weight classes. Nicknamed the Real Deal, Holyfield is the only 4-time world heavyweight champion, having held the unified WBA, WBC, and IBF. As an amateur, Holyfield represented the United States at the 1984 Summer Olympics, winning a bronze medal in the light heavyweight division. He turned professional at the age of 21, I believe, moving up to cruiserweight in 1985 and winning his first world championship the following year, defeating the white Muhammad Quali for the WBA title. Holyfield then went on to defeat Ricky Party and Carlos De Leon to win the WBC and IBF titles, thus becoming the undisputed cruiserweight champion. He moved up to the heavyweight in 1988, later defeating Buster Douglas in 1990 to claim the unified WBA and WBC and IBF heavyweight champion of the world, defending his title numerous times. Holyfield was forced to retirement in 1994, I believe, upon medical advice, only to return a year later with a clean bill of health in 1996, where he defeated Mike Tyson and reclaimed the WBA title in what was named the Ring magazine as the fight of the year and the upset of the year. This made Holyfield the first boxer since the great Muhammad Ali to win a world heavyweight title 3 times. I got the real deal Holyfield with me. And sir, my question to you is why is it so important for you to effectively manage your inner feelings and impulses?
Well, the important is just like the first commandment with the promise. Honor your father and your mother, and that things would be well. And I was able to do that, and my mother actually wanted me to be better than she was. So one thing that the person who you become is when you honor your parents. You know, with my mother, she didn't want me to make the mistakes that she made, and so my mother was, her tongue got her in trouble. And so today, when people see me, people always talk about, wow, how can he control himself? Because my mother wanted me to be better than her, and she always told me, she said, son, everybody falls short, but, you don't need to make the same mistakes that I made. And so the things that I was great in was the things that my mother wasn't great in. And, my mother only had a 6th grade education, but because I respected my mother, because I wanted to please my mother, I was always praying, asking God to help me to be able to do the things that I didn't want my mom to ever have to ask nobody for anything. I felt that if she asked me for something, I want to have whatever it takes that she wanted. And at the age of 21, I became the person. I made the Olympic team, and so I come out and I have a $1 million contract, and and it was just as my mother kept everything that I did. Everybody always wondering, how could you establish this discipline? It was my mother. My mother loved me so much that even when I was a kid, my mother said, let me tell you something, you ain't old enough to be my friend. You do what I tell you to do. And like this, you don't do what I do. Is my mother said, because I got bad habits. And so my mother constantly would tell me, you want to learn from my mistakes. You don't want to make the same mistake. And I found that all these things that my mother told me allow me to be the person who I am today. For people always wondering, said, how could you be raised in the ghetto and you didn't pick up these things? Well, I was the youngest of 9, and my brothers and sisters, because they knew that if they allowed me to do something wrong, my mother was going to get them first and get me second. And so it's amazing with this talking about discipline starts at home. Your success really starts at home. Success starts at home about what do the people tell you. And I'm successful because my brothers and sisters realized that anything happened to me, they were going to get it first, and I was going to get it second. And so I was well disciplined as this young kid who had a goal. I went to the boys club at the age of 8. And when I got to the boys club, this guy seen me hit the bag real hard, and he told me that I could be the heavyweight champion of the world. And he said, what do you think about being the heavyweight champion of the world? You can be like Muhammad Ali. And I looked at him and I said, he said, what do you think? I said, well, I got to ask my mama. And the guy said, well, wait a minute. He says, no, you could be the heavyweight champion of the world. I said, I know, but I got to ask my mama. So he asked me again. And I said, well, but still I got to ask my mama, because I realized that the most important thing in life is, even as that man telling me I could be it, I knew that only way I can do it is my mama tell me I can do it. I can't do it because he's telling me I could do it, because my mama got to give me the right to do it. And so I remember the man draw back and he thought about it. He said, you know what? You really have a good mama. He said, so go home and ask that good mama and see what that good mama had to say. So I went home and I said, Mama, I said, this white man at the boys club named Mr. Morgan say, I could be like Muhammad Ali. And when I told my mama that, my mama looked at me strange and she said, do you know what they're going to do to you? And so I figured I had said something wrong, because the way my mama reacted. And she said, they going to hit you. So, you got to understand that at that point in time in my life, I used to get 3 whoopings a day. So I was used to getting hit. So my mama looked at me and said, well, you can't hit them back. And I remember going into the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and I held my hands up. I said, Evander Holyfield, the heavyweight champion of the world. And the point of saying that, it didn't sound good. But every time I go to the bathroom, I would look in the mirror and tell myself that I want to be the heavyweight champion of the world. And so when I went back to the boys club Monday, and I told Mr. Morgan that my mama said I could be the heavyweight champion of the world. And he looked at me and said, son, wait a minute. He said, because he was trying to figure out how to explain to me it wasn't time to be it. But because all I thought about being the heavyweight champion of the world, the goal was to be the heavyweight champion of the world. I didn't know that I had to fight these fights to lead to the heavyweight. I thought I was going to fight one time and be it. But Mr. Morgan said, son, let me tell you something. So Mr. Morgan was about 60-something years old, about 64. He said, let me tell you something. He said, I'm old right now, He said, I really ain't got that much time now. He said, now, let me tell you something. He said, I'm going to tell you something about a goal, and I'm going to tell you something about a fantasy. He said, a goal when you want to be something, and being it, that means you're going to work at it. And he said, now, a fantasy when you want to be something and you're not going to work at it. So is this a goal or a fantasy? Because I ain't got that much time. And I told him, goal. He said, okay, you got to fight in 2 days. And, and he got me prepared for that fight. And I win my first fight. And when I win this first fight, Mr. Morgan was so happy that I won the first fight. And he tells me, he said, you took your first step of being the heavyweight champion of the world. And, I was all excited, and I come home and give my mom this trophy. I found that my mama really liked trophies, and she put this trophy on the thing, and it kind of gave me the attention that I really wanted. And because every time somebody come into the house, they would say, Miss Holyfield, who's the boxer? And my mama would smile and say, that little one right there. I said, well, he's small. My mama said, but he can fight. And that's what I finally found out what pleased my mama, and I just wanted to make my mama happy. And from that, I continued to fight I lost my first fight. When I lose my first fight, I started crying. I tell the coach that I quit. I didn't like him no more, just as a kid would do. And shoot, when I went home, I told my mama that I lost, and I was crying. And she let me cry for about a minute or two, and then tell me shut up and tell me what happened. I said, I lost the fight. And she said, and I told her I quit. And my mother said, I didn't raise a quitter. You got to go back. And so if my mama told me I had to go back, I had to go back. There wasn't nothing else. So I go back, and the man said, what you doing here? I thought you said you quit. And I told him my mama said I had to come back. Then he said, didn't I not tell you had a good mama? And I was kind of upset with him because I didn't want to come back because this kid had beat me. And I fought the kid again, and he beat me again when I was 12. Then when I turned 13, I didn't want to fight that kid. I want to go around the thing. So I brought a 5-pound weight that was going to make me weigh 105 because I knew the kid weighed 100. But when I got there, I didn't see the kid because I thought I didn't see him. I get in 100 pounds. And I got there, and when I made it to the final, and all of a sudden, all my friends who have lost started saying, well, you're going to lose too. I said, I would lose, but my mama's going to get me. I said, because my mama told me if I had to be the only one to show up, then I have to be the only one to show up. But then my friend said, you know that guy Cecil Collins? I said, he didn't show up. Then he said, what is his name doing right here? When I seen this kid's name, I just started crying. And so I knew that I was going to be in trouble because I got to fight this guy who done beat me twice. And all of a sudden, so the people who put on the event, they knew me ever since I was 6 years old. So they told me that I didn't have to fight it. I said, but my mama's going to get me. They said, well, we ain't going to tell. I realized my mama, I know I can't ever beat my mama, but I can try to beat Cecil Collins, but I know if I don't go fight him and my mama find out that I'm really going to get to her. So that was the first fight that I ever prayed because I wanted to win so bad. So I remember just saying, please, Jesus, help me. And I remember all my friends would say, oh, he calling Jesus. He calling Jesus. And they laughed at me, And when I went up to the ring, my coach said, just give your very best. And I gave my very best. And they said, the winner, Evander Holyfield. It wasn't holy, but I know that's what they call me. And I was so happy. And from that point on, every time I fought, I asked God to help me. And I lost 9 more times after that, but I ended up with a record 164 wins and 11 losses. And made the Olympic team, became the cruiserweight champion of the world and the 4-time heavyweight champion of the world. And this is because I just didn't give up. And because my mother had taught me at a young age to not to quit and taught me how to pray. And it's the same thing that I when I go visit the young people, I say, look, hey, the first command with the promise, honor your father and your mother. I say, if you do that right, everything else lines up.
I'm over here crying. Listen, this has been another impactful night of the Impact of Educational Leadership. Your host, ID3 for Isaiah Jerome III. Our panelists tonight are Nina Taylor, Charles B.C. Caldwell, Pastor Dr. Michael A. Evans Sr., and the great, real deal, Evander Holyfield. Love you all. Good night.
Welcome to the Impact of Educational Leadership podcast with ID3 for Isaiah Jerome III. This show was designed to provide an exclusive forum on educational achievement gaps related to learner success while discovering relationships and family issues in a diverse setting.